Well, TikTok, I couldn't resist. Look at this beauty. Little 1978 Fiat Spider. Got it home, and the first thing I did was get rid of them awful bumpers. So this is my 1978 124 Fiat Spider. I picked her up for $1,000. She was left for dead in the Outer Banks. And surprisingly, it actually runs and drives pretty well. Now I've already cleaned up the interior, and the interior on it is pretty much mint. It's got a 1.8 diet beverage under the hood, 5-speed manual breadstick transmission, and some extra cheese in the quarters. Now me and my girlfriend have already named her. Her name is Itsy Bitsy, the Itsy Bitsy little spider. Now if you pick up a car that's been sitting for a long time, such like mine, you're going to want to bring it home and clean it all up. Yes, you might have the outside, underneath, and inside looking clean, but there's a spot you definitely missed. Up under this cowl vent, I guarantee it's full of crud. And we're going to find out. First, let's get rid of the windshield wipers. 6 screws and this will come off. Now that I got all the bolts out, you just kind of wiggle it out. Now take a look at this. Full of old leaves and dirt. Now these old cars don't have a cabin air filter. That's your air inlet, and that will cause a bad smell in the car. And not only that, if it clogs up your drain, which it did on this one, it'll rot out this area. After a vacuum, it's looking way better. Now it's time to rinse it out. Now it's all clean. Now unfortunately the body has got some rust issues, as you can see, around the wheel wells and a couple other spots. Now most people wonder why I would even bother trying to fix this car. But just like a lot of the cars I own, I fell in love with it, and my girlfriend loves it, and I want to fix it up for her. So the first thing we're going to do is fix the spots that don't need metal put in them. That could be saved. I'm going to start right here. It's solid, and you got to get this off here, and it's solid underneath. And for now, I'm just going to wire wheel it down, get all the rust out of it, prime it, then worry about bondoing it up and making it straight later. So let's start. Now I've ground it down, but unfortunately it's got some pitting in it. It's going to get a skim of Bondo anyway. I just want to stop the rust. Now I'm not really a body man, I'm kind of learning as I'm going, so if you have any tips, drop it down in the comments. Alright, I took the antenna out, and I'm probably going to weld this up and make it all smooth. Let's go ahead and grind it down. Okay, I got that ground down, stay tuned for part 2. Alright, we're back on the Fiat. When we left off, I ground this spot out, a rust hole came through, plus I want to patch up the hole for the antenna. Got a little patch panel I'm going to do there, tack it in, bondo it up, it should look alright. Alright, welded it up. This stuff's really hard to work with. It's really thin. So I'm going to grind it down, prime it, then I'll skim it with some Bondo. Ground it, smooth now. I'm going to go ahead and tape this off and prime it. Did some quick 180 sanding to smooth it out. Now I'm going to prime it and seal it. Alright, I got the spots primed so they won't rust anymore. The next step will be to DA all this, run some Bondo over it, and get it smooth. The whole car needs to be DA'd because it has clear on it, so that needs to come off. But I'm going to work one panel at a time on this car. Got it sanded down, back to bare metal. A lot of you guys said to use a rust inhibitor paint. That's what I'm going to do. I've already DA'd this down with 180, ran my block sander over it, got it nice and smooth. Now I'm going to paint it with some primer rust inhibitor, and then we'll go from there. Alright, got it primed. Now it's time to mix some Fiberall and smear it on. Alright, got that laid down. While that dries, I've been working on this spot, getting it ready to prime again and lay some glass on this. DA'd this down, got it nice and smooth, it's ready for some paint. Also, this hardened up and I sanded on that. Needs a little more filler and it should be good to go. Alright, second pass. Looking a lot better here. Needs a little bit more there. This spot needs a lot more work. But I'm losing light, so I'm going to go ahead and paint it so it don't rust overnight, and we'll get back on it next time. Back with the body work on Itsy Bitsy. Still working on this spot some. I got the trunk lid off, then all ready for primer. I 80'd it, 180'd it, then 180 block sanded it, fixed the little dent, and just wiped it down and it's ready for primer. Got that all primed and it's looking good. Alright, worked my way back on this, filling in a little couple dents. Pull the tail light out. I'm going to do a little patch repair here and there. And here I'm just going to fill it up with that Fiberall. That should fix that. Also, for where the bumper used to go, I'm probably going to make a patch panel right here and weld that in. And last night I spent $200 and bought the patch repair kit to cut out all this and put new metal in. Well, it's nighttime now, so I brought the car in and did a little patch work. Now I'm going to grind this down, spread some Bondo, and sand it tomorrow. When we left off, I was patching this spot. Now I got it Bondoed up and sanded, and it's nice and smooth. And you can't even tell that hole was there. quarter had some cracks in it, so I started grinding it out, and it led to me grinding the whole panel down. It's got quite a bit of Bondo, not what I wanted to see, but whatever, because most of this is getting cut out anyway. On that note, the parts came. Let's see what we got. The wheel arches are here. I've never done this before, so I have to learn on it. Now I'll be able to cut out all that bad metal, and it is pretty crunchy. I was glad I was able to get these because most of the websites, the few websites that do carry parts for Fiat, didn't have these, but Midwest, Bayless, Italian Auto have them, so if you need them, call them. So I ground out all the Bondo, and thank God where the panel comes up, it's got good metal, so all the rust is going to be gone in this quarter. Well guys, it's time. Well, it's cut out. The inner fender needs some work, but all that Italian metal is gone. Now I'm using this flare tool to make a flare so the panel will sit in there so I don't have to butt weld it. It'll have a channel that I can weld. Now that I got that done, I'm going to cut up the panel a little and get it to fit. Alright, fast forward a couple hours and I'm stitch welding it on. Just about done. Fitting it looks pretty good. For my first time, it looks alright. Alright, I finished the stitch welding, and the last thing I did tonight was put some fiberall on it to seal it off, and tomorrow I'll sand it if I get time, and start painting this quarter. When we left off, I was fixing this quarter panel, welding on that lip, got it bondoed up, need to do a lot more Bondo work on it, but it's a little too cold today to spread that, so we're going to work on the rest of the rust on this car. Gonna patch up and fix the rust on this side, weld up the hole where the bumper was to make it look like this side, nice and smooth. That's what we're gonna do today. And if we get time, I'll cut this fender lip off and weld that new patch panel on. All right, we got it ground down, the rust spots that came out, and this spot here is gonna need a lot of patching. Got that welded up, need some fiberall now. I've moved to the rockers and I cut out the rust. We'll take this piece out and put new metal in. Got that cut out, the inner rocker's looking good. Got the rust out of the outer. Now let's make our patch. Got that all stitch welded in. Next thing I'll do is I'll grind this down and fiberall it. Since I'm doing patchwork today and it's only 3 o'clock, I'm gonna go ahead and weld on the new fender lip on this side. So I guess stay tuned for part 2. Trimmed my new metal and got it sitting up there. Now what I'm gonna do is trace it out. All right, I got it cut. Let's see if I can pull it. Oh. Now that I got that off, I see that the inner fender weld needs some work, but I'll probably buy a kit for that and weld in new tubs. For this, I'm gonna go crimp it and start fitting my panel. Now let's put my edge on. So it's about an hour later and I stitch welded it and ground this panel down, ground that down, and grounded that down. So the last thing we're going to do is put some fiberall on it to seal it off, prime it so it doesn't rust, and wait for the next nice day so we can Bondo it out and sand it. So I'm going to go ahead and fix the window frame here. It was cracked. I bought a new one, so we're replacing it, taking the door panel apart. At this point, the quarter panels were just about finished, and we moved on to this project. Little did I know I would be replacing the whole door. It's like right when things are going good and you're about to put some nice parts on this, something else goes wrong. Yep, the gas tank's rotted out and it's got a pinhole in it. Just more money to be spent. But more videos coming soon. We'll lower this thing and put a new tank in it. And what we're doing, we're taking the old springs out and the old shocks because I have a brand new race lowering kit for this and race shocks. It's going to lower it 1 inch for now, and they say if you want to go lower, you cut the coil 1 to 2 coils off the new springs. But we're going to try 1 inch for now. Had to disconnect the brake line, the handbrake, parking brake, and I'm getting rid of this old pre-ABS junk and cleaning it up under here, and then we'll move to the front. We're moving on to the passenger side. I'm going to bust this nut loose, which looks pretty cruddy. The other one was pretty cruddy, but I was able to bust it off by hand. I couldn't get my impact in there, so let's see how bad I struggle with that. Surprisingly enough, that bolt was actually really easy to come off. It's out, so what we're going to do is I'm going to wait till tomorrow and get some new hardware and maybe paint it up in here. Just shoot some black paint on it, make it look a little better than rust. And then we'll put the lowering springs in and the new shocks. So it's the next day and I got some bolts. I'm going to go into here, hit this with a wire brush, knock some of the rust off, and I bought some rust kind of paint, kind of make it look a little pretty. And then we're going to put the nice lowering springs and the race shocks on. Some nice shiny parts on a turd. All right, we just sprayed some black on it. It don't look the best because this thing's cruddy and from up north, but let's go ahead and put the nice pretty parts on. All right, I skipped a couple parts, but I had to cut the spring to fit the cups. It says that in the book. These are universal springs, so they're in there now. So all I gotta do is finish bolting all this up, put my brake line back on and my parking brake, put tires on, and the back is done. All right, this is day 3, and we're back on the Fiat. I'm suffering from a bad cold, so I haven't been working on it too much every day, but we're getting there. We're gonna paint this black. I got it all apart. Don't mind the rust hole. That's just, weight reduction. Yeah, so I'm gonna get this painted and we'll be right back. I can't tell you how hard that was. I know I didn't film it again, but I struggled with that spring. I had to take that ratchet strap and pull this control arm almost all the way vertical, then beat that spring in. I even had some spring compressors. They're too big to get in there, so I beat that in. Hopefully, this thing is at the right ride height once I get my new rims, and we won't have to pull these back out. But it's all looking pretty now. Just putting this side back together, then I'll have to start on that side, which will be a little easier because I already know how to do it. All right, got this side apart and ready to go back together, so the next cut, it'll be together. And it's on the ground and all done. Now, I know it doesn't look that low, but I actually bought some 15x8 rims, and with those tires might fill in the fender well, and if it doesn't, we'll lower it some more. What's up? I didn't like the ride height. It looks like a freaking monster truck, so let's go cut some coils. Yoink. All right, it's definitely lower than it was. That's about 3-finger gap. That's better than I thought it would be. It's a lot better than that, where I could fit my whole fist in here and have room. All right, now let's lower the front. Get these coils out. I gotta take the brake caliper off. I gotta take the spindle off. I gotta disconnect the steering and then separate the ball joint, then beat the spring out. All right, with a little bit of time and work, both front coils are out. Let's go cut them. All right, both of those are cut. Let's put it back together. And we're like 2 inches lower now. Could stand to go lower, but it'll be fine for now. Now, at this point, I actually ended up finding 2 really nice doors, and I can't find the video, but I sanded them down and primed them. And in this little video here, I was taking the door apart and basically gutting my old doors and putting all the parts in the new doors, because the new doors I got were bare. But the new doors that I bought had trim on them, so that I had to weld up the trim holes and basically just, bondo them, sand them, get them smooth, and get them ready to put back on this door. Really simple door to take apart. Door panels are just screwed on. Window tracks are just cable driven on these, so that came apart really easily. These cars are really simple to work on, and this was a really fun project, and I have no regrets, putting the money and time into this old rust bucket, because at the end of the day, this thing became a really nice car, and you'll see at the end how nice this car ended up being. Finally got the old door off. Now I cleaned it up and was getting ready to put the new door on. Had the glass out, everything, looking at everything, make sure the structural integrity was good to put a door back on.
But once the door was back on, we lined it up really easily, and it closed perfect. I wish the sound was still on this video because those doors sounded amazing.
All right, guys, we're going to do the last little bit of rust repair on my little 1978 Fiat Spider. Everything's done except the front fenders. I saved the worst for last. These front fenders are absolutely coming apart and are rotted all the way down. Now, I know that's a weird rot line, but this car was in a wreck sometime in the 80s, has a salvage title, and these cars are built as a tub. These are, the fenders do not unbolt. So what they did is they chopped the front fender off, put a new front piece on or off another car to fix this one. And their repair just didn't hold up over the years and it rotted all the way through. So now I got to grind out all the Bondo and see how bad it really is. I got these fender flares that I'm going to put back on, and then we'll see how it goes. Well, we started grinding this half-inch worth of Bondo out. So as you can see, there's a lot of Bondo in this car, and the fender is not even attached to the rest. They welded this together really shittily. This must have been already halfway rotted or something. But all this is going to have to come out. This is all getting cut out because of those. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my line and start cutting because I'm going to be here all day grinding out Bondo when all this is going to get replaced anyhow. So next step, mark it and cut it. All right, we got it marked. We got it taped out, our line. We're going to cut through the tape halfway. This is where the panel is. So when I put my edge in there, it'll lay nice and flat. So let's go ahead and cut it. No turning back now. All right, we got our new piece on there. I just put some self-tappers in it to line it up. Now I'll start tacking it, and once I tack it, I'll pull the self-tappers out, and then we'll go through and weld the whole thing. All right, I put my tacks in. Now I'll pull out my screws, and right in the middle of each weld, I'll hit it, and then I'll go back, divide those in half, and keep dividing them in half until it's a solid weld. All right, got that all welded up and just shot some primer on it so it wouldn't rust overnight. Next step is to start cutting this out and patching all this. Then we'll go and sand it and start spreading our fiberall on it and then Bondoing it. This fender is all that's left of the rust. Everything else has been repaired or replaced. Doors replaced. Quarter panels redone. Patch paneled all in the back here on the tail panel. This front fender's already done. We patched it all up. We got it looking pretty smooth. It just needs to be finished. Same with the front. Those holes are going to get closed up today. And all this rust is going to be gone. And after that, it's a rust-free car. And we can finally focus on getting it all sanded down, blocking it out, and getting some freaking paint on this thing. All right, we're going to start grinding this down and pick it out and see what's behind it. I actually just pulled this. I just got it sitting here and it fell off. But, yeah. Good thing we have a patch panel. That is literally nothing but Bondo. So we ground down the paint in Bondo to see where the good metal is so we know where to start cutting. I have a line here for the patch panel where I'm going to cut. Got all this. You can see this is just terrible. I mean, where they patched it together, you know, 40 years of old body work just didn't last. It lasted 40 years, but, you know, maybe it'll last another 40 years. Anyhow. We're going to cut this out. Even though there's good metal here, we're just going to cut it out, redo this whole lip, and there will be no Bondo in this whole lip. This down here, we're going to have to eventually, once we get this panel welded, I'm going to grind all this out and make my own patch panel for that because they don't sell a patch panel for that. It's already bent. You could have bought a whole fender, which would have probably been easier. That was $800 versus $120. Plus, these fenders are all the way welded on, so you'd have to cut it off. It's a big project. I mean, it's a big project no matter what. But let's start cutting We'll come back after this bad metal is gone. All right, we got our piece cut out. Now we'll go back, grind it, make it all nice and smooth, put our edge in, lay our new panel on, screw it in, and start welding. So fast forward many hours, and this thing is all welded up. We patched this spot, that spot we had to make, all through here, found some rust here, patched all that. It doesn't look the prettiest, but once we glass it all up, you won't even know the difference. So the last thing we have to patch up is right under here where it's got some rot. We'll just put a piece there, call that good, and start taking all the pieces off of this thing and getting it ready for paint. So I didn't film that last little bit of welding, but it's all done. All we have to do now is shape that fender, sand it all down, and get this thing in some paint. We already stripped all the trim, door handles, everything off that's going to be in the way. The rest will tape off, so stay tuned when you see this thing in color. Itsy Bitsy is back. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's the same car. I'm literally lost for words. All the time, all the money spent, you know, all these fenders, everything's been welded up, bondoed, you know, prepped, and finally it's painted. And oh my God, it looks so good. If you're asking about the color, this is peacock green metallic. I wanted to get a teal looking color and we freaking nailed it. I mean, this car is just a whole different car. Everything about it, I mean, it's blowing my mind right now that it's sitting in my garage next to my beautiful 57 Belvedere and looking just as good. From a $1,000 piece of junk, rotted out, ready for the damn boneyard, to a freaking beautiful piece of artwork. And now you guys get to see me assemble this thing with all its new parts that I've been gathering up and get to see the beautiful finished product of this beautiful 1978 Fiat Spider that we call Itsy Bitsy. So stay and watch this video and let's put this thing together. Door trim is on. All right, we just put our trunk seal back on and our little handle for our fuel door. All right, now I'm going to put on my side marker lights. I'm putting on everything that is original to the car, and then we'll open up all the new parts. Now, I was going to use these original tail lights, and I actually painted them because the chrome was peeling, but look how crappy that looks. And plus, I needed the gaskets. The gaskets are $50 a piece. Need 2 of them, so that's $100. And the whole assembly was with the new chrome bezels and brand new bulbs, everything wiring was $300. So I went ahead and bought brand new lights. So let's go get those and unbox those and install them. And there you go, all nice. They needed some cleaning. They've been sitting, but can't beat it. $300, seal, wiring, bulbs, housings, lenses, everything. If you're wondering where to buy them, Vic Auto. They do everything Fiat and Alfa Romeo, and I believe they do Lancia. All right, the only thing we have to do to install this new one is cut these old plug off and solder it into the new wires. All right, we're soldering them up. I even got some heat shrink that is color coded. I'm gonna try to do this car as nice as possible, but we'll come back as soon as this is done. All right, we got that all soldered up. I ran out of colors. I didn't have a yellow or a blue that size, so we had to go with black. That's fine. We got a plug on here, so this light can go in, then we'll have to do the other light. All right, we got one tail light in with its new seal. Time for the next one. All right, we got that one on, and let me tell you something. Working this gasket in there is a very, very big challenge because that thing does not want to roll in there. It wants to roll behind this housing or fall out altogether. But if you tighten it slowly and kind of work it around, I was using this pick, probably not the best thing for new paint, but we didn't scratch it, so that's a good thing. And they're in. Tomorrow I need to get some plugs here for the license plate, clean that up, and then the back end of the car will be done, minus this one little emblem. Started putting the new emblems on. We got one there, and we got one up front. And now we're gonna put a nice new mirror on, because the original one is toast. It looks like, piece of focus. Crap. Yeah, it's all pitted and it's actually seized. Around that gasket looks like crap. So that's junk. So we got a brand new one with a brand new gasket. And it looks 100 times better. So let's install that. That's installed. While I was at it, I put on the brand new Pininfarina badges. If you don't know, Pininfarina was actually the designer for Ferrari. Same guy designed the bodies on these Fiat Spiders. Now we're going to install these new stainless top covers. They go right here when you put the top down. I actually have a cover that needs to be repaired, but it goes over the top and covers it. And I bought the stainless ones this time because the chrome ones always end up pitting and looking like crap. And these are only $15. Just installed door handles. I'm going to call it a night tonight, and we'll get back on this tomorrow after work because I need to get some hardware for the rocker panels to bolt on. I need to take out these old headlights to put in the new halos and bolt the grill on. Going to need some hardware for that as well. So next cut of the video will be tomorrow. All right, it's the next day, and I jumped forward and forgot to film a couple things, but we got new halos in there, new headlights with switchbacks, new trim rings in. We put the freshly painted grill in, polished out the trim for the grill, put that in, lower grill in. We took the seats out. We got brand new seats to put in it. We got some racing buckets I'm going to show here just in a minute, imported all the way from Germany. So I'm going to clean all this up, mount the seats, and see where they're going to mount. But check out these halos. Fresh new halos. Oh yeah. All right, next little bit, we'll be putting the seats in. So I'm mocking up the new seats. I got these old school style looking buckets. But unfortunately, where the old seats mounted, which I kind of figured, they mounted here with bolts down. Well, the seat brackets on these seats fit in between here. So I'm going to take this thick metal here, bolt it from there to there, there to there, and then drill holes to bolt on this, and then drill holes to mount it to the seat. And I think that'll be all right. It's pretty thick. And it might flex a little, and then I could put some stands on it. All right, what I did was I got some plate. I bolted it to each side to where the original seats bolted. I used the original hardware. And then I just drilled me some holes in it to mount to my new seat brackets. That one's already bolted in. It looks great. I need to paint the door panels still, but I might just put them on for now so I could drive it. But we're going to finish this bolting this up, back this car out, and give it its first wash. And like that, after a year of owning this car, it's looking pretty and back at the beach. I mean, it just looks stunning. Still got some little touches here to do here and there, so videos will be coming soon, and a lot more videos showing this car.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream, I dream of you amid the flowers for a couple of hours, such a beautiful day.